It is a book that takes the mundane and makes it fantastical. And thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten and we're at the start of another weekly reading vlog, although this week's reading vlog is actually going to be shorter than normal because I am going to be finishing this on the 1st of January at the very latest. Really want to start the new year off with a fresh new weekly reading vlog from the 1st of January. With the idea of we're going to be starting the new year fresh, I want to get a couple of books read in this vlog. Honestly, I've been putting off. One, I soft DNF, so I really want to get that finished, or at least deciding am I fully DNFing this book, and just trying to clear off some of the books that I didn't get to so far in December from my December TBR. In reality, I'm not going to be able to get to all the ones that I didn't get to in December. I do believe I have a couple if we check the reading journal. Okay, so actually no. I had one that I didn't get to in December, which is Penance by Eliza Clark. I did really want to read this one. This was for a one-word title prompt. Didn't happen because I then got the unexpected mail of Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands, and so I read that last week instead, and I was very happy to have read that. So I might try and get to this one. However, we do only have a few days of this vlog, so I don't know whether I'm actually going to be able to. But I have a book that I soft DNF, which is The Labyrinth's Heart by M.A. Carrick. This is the third book in the Rook and the Rose trilogy. It is obviously the final one. I got almost to the end. I got just over halfway through and I ended up soft DNFing because I was getting really frustrated with the character perspectives change in this book. So this is a fantasy Venetian inspired series where we're following a main character called Wren, who in the first book is doing this elaborate con so that she can be part of a register to an elite society family, because then she'll be able to have all the wealth that she needs to support herself and her sister. Part of that con though means that she gets tangled up in all the politics of the elite society, which is very interesting and fun, but then there's also darker things that are going on with the Varisians in this society that are always looked down upon and seen as lesser, and so Wren also ends up getting tangled up in what's going on there. Everything is coming to a head in this book, but there's so many perspective changes. There's things where you'll be following one thing and it'll be fine for a few like mini chapters, because they're chapters within chapters, and then it will just chop and change to something else, and it will be like, but how did we get from here to here? Like there's a lot of what I feel I'm missing out on connecting scenes jarring me. So I put it down. I started this in November and that is where I got to. So I would like to decide, am I going to finish this book or am I going to DNF it? So I want to continue reading this on Kindle. I'm going to take that to work to read on my lunch breaks because I am back to work today, and just decide, am I going to finish this, or is this unfortunately going to be a series where I'm like, I do like the first and second book, but then maybe I just won't read the third book. I'm actually okay to do that. I don't know whether you are. You'll have to let me know. Do you mind it when you have a series where the last book you just aren't enjoying? Would you then unhaul the whole series, or are you happy to keep the books knowing that you're only ever going to reread, if you do reread, the first and second book and never the third one? Because I'm actually okay with that, because I'm actually quite happy to be like, well, this is the way it ended in my mind and that's fine with me. Maybe that's just weird for me, but I'm happy to read a book if I've enjoyed it, and then if the conclusion just doesn't work for me, that's fine. I just won't read that again. Like I say, maybe I'm just weird. And then from my reset video for December, if you haven't seen my reset videos, I go book shopping within my reset videos for just one book to read in that month, and it's not a book that I've been anticipating. It's not a book I've heard anything about. It is just a book where I'm just browsing the store and that's what catches my attention. For December, it was O Caledonia by Elspeth Barker. I've not heard anyone talking about this book. From the back of it, it sounds like it's going to be exactly my cup of tea, and I feel like for me this is going to be an underrated book, so I really want to read this one. I've only been putting it off because it's so short, and so I kept thinking to myself, oh, I can easily get that done, it's fine, I've got loads of time. And then it was yesterday and I'm like, it's Boxing Day and I've still not read this book. I need to get on that. So I'm definitely reading that this week. I'm also going to hopefully be reading Labyrinth's Heart, and we'll just see whether I'll be finishing it or DNFing it for certain. And then potentially Penance, but I just don't think Penance is going to happen because it's a bigger book. But like I say, this is a short vlog, so we'll see. But 100% we're going to be reading O Caledonia. I'm very excited to start this one. This one, like I said, I haven't heard anyone talking about it, but I'm just going to read you the one bit of this synopsis that captured me and went, okay, I'm going to be getting this book. I loved the cover, that's what drew me in. It was faced out on the shelves, and then it says, at the bottom of a great stone staircase, dressed in her mother's black lace evening dress, twisted in murderous death, lies Janet. So end the 16 years of Janet's short life. That was it. I was sold. I was like, I want to know what's going on. That's beautiful writing. I'm already intrigued. This one has, an introduction by Maggie O'Farrell. Maggie O'Farrell, I read Hamnet by her and really enjoyed it, so yeah, I'm intrigued. I really am looking forward to reading this one. Sometimes with introductions, I actually like to read them after I've read the book because they can sometimes give away spoilers for what's happening. So I think I'm going to read the book, and then when I finish the book, I will read the introduction. I like doing it that way because then I feel, for me, I've read the book, I've taken in the story, I've felt the feelings, however it's made me feel. And then when I read the introduction, sometimes I can glean more from it, or sometimes I'm like, yeah, I do agree with you on that. Or they can just point out some things which I didn't think about as I was reading this book. So I like it for that. But yes, I'm very excited to start this. This is going to be my at-home book. It's not long. It's less than 200 pages, or just over 200 pages. Yeah, 206 pages long. And I'm so excited. I mean, just look at this cover. Gorgeous. So that's the plans for this week. We are trying to just wrap up any loose ends from 2023 in this reading vlog, and hopefully we get that all done. I hope you all had an amazing New Year's actually, because by the time this come out, it's gonna be in the new year. So I hope you had a lovely New Year's, whatever you're doing. I'm working till 11:30 on New Year's Eve, so I'm just going to be coming back home and getting into bed. But I hope whatever you end up doing or did, that you had a lovely New Year's. But okay, I'm going to stop my rambles. I'm going to go do some lunch, and I will catch up with you when I've started all the different books, and we'll see how it all goes. Good morning. We have got a change in plans for this reading vlog. I initially was going to do it as a bit of a cramming vlog, kind of taken after Jan's style of videos. I'll have her channel linked below. She does them at the end of each month, where she does like this cramming video to get as many books finished as possible, and I kind of thought maybe I'll do that for this little bit, as you heard. I have since thought about it and completely changed my mind on that. I was thinking about it properly yesterday, and I'm just not in the headspace to do that. Instead, I've decided to do something I've never done before, and that is start doing like things like vision boards and stuff for the year ahead, and using these last few days of December to really set goals and affirmations for 2024. This isn't something I've done before. I'm very against goal setting, normally because I don't like the pressure of having to fulfill certain things. The closest I get to goals is my 24 to read in 2024, etc. videos, so like 23 for 23. But these goals that I want to set is more centered around being nice to myself, because in all honesty, I have had a really hard year. It's not something I talk about on here because I've always wanted this to be a safe space for you all to come away from your troubles and let's talk books and not really focus on all the other stuff that's going on, and just have a safe space for everyone just to be able to forget their troubles. But at the end of the day, I am human, and I have had a really difficult year. Nothing to do with YouTube. Honestly, YouTube's been the highlight of my year. Creating content, interacting with you all has been absolutely amazing, and you are all phenomenal and so supportive. And I know that me opening up and being honest and saying, you know what, I've had a really hard year, none of you are going to be like, oh well, you shouldn't say that, because you're all so lovely, and I know the community that we've built, and it really has been the highlight of my year. So thank you all so much. You have done so much more in supporting me than what you ever realised, not just on this channel, but to do with my mental health as well. It's been so good. Speaking of mental health, like, it's been a really bad year for it. I've really struggled, and kind of hit that point across Christmas where I was like, I don't want to be like this anymore. I'm really tired of feeling sad and down in the dumps and just not feeling like myself. And so I just thought, you know what, I need to start thinking of things on how to actually change this. And I came up with, let's do a vision board and stuff, things that I've never done, but thinking, well, gotta at least give it a try. And I do feel so much like calmer after doing some brainstorming when I was at work yesterday of different things that I need to get back to doing that I know made such a big difference. So a couple of things that I came up with is editing outside the house, like getting out. If I'm doing an editing day, go off to the library or the big Waterstones up in Piccadilly Circus, or circus? I know where it is. The big Waterstones in London and sitting downstairs in the cafe. Like, I used to do it all the time, and I actually went for a smaller laptop so I could do it more, and I just haven't. But it makes such a big difference for me. So little things like that I can make changes and just get back to doing what I did that I know makes me calmer and happier and stuff. We're gonna work on that instead. I'm still going to be reading, but I've decided I'm not gonna try and push through with Labyrinth's Heart. Let me get that book actually. So I've decided, you know what, this is gonna be a DNF. However, I think I am going to reread it eventually. So I was reading a few paragraphs here and there. I was kind of flicking through it yesterday. That's what kind of made me go, you know what, I just don't want to do this to myself. I don't want to force myself to cram in loads of books at this end part of the year. Like, I'm tired, I'm a bit worn out, a bit drained of energy, and I don't want to do that. And so I just thought, well, I don't have to. Who's making me do that? No one. So this is going to be a DNF. I'm going to, honestly, take the bookmark out now, keep hold of it, and when I eventually reread this series, so the first 2 books are here, then I will reread this 3rd one and give a proper overview of this book and my actual thoughts and feelings on it. I think by the time I was getting to this one, I was just so burnt out that it wasn't happening. I can't say I'm going to reread it anytime soon for the series because I've got lots of series I want to get to, but I know I will eventually reread it, and I'm quite happy to wait until then for this. I am going to still read Oh Caledonia though, because I've been very excited about this one, and I read kind of like the prequel, literally I think 3 or 4 pages, but it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it, so I'm definitely looking forward to reading more of this with my lunch today before I go to work, which, speaking of, I need to do food shopping to get food for my lunch, but we'll do that after this update. Really, really looking forward to this one. It's got gorgeous writing so far, really liking the descriptions and everything. It feels really gothic, you know, really like, it's just the type of writing which I really like. So I have really high hopes for this. So we'll be continuing on with that. So it's still going to be a reading vlog. It's just I'm going to be adding in things of creating a vision board, which I've never done before. As I've mentioned, well, I've done them before when I was at like college for art, and you got given your project and the theme of it, and then you had to do like lots of ideas and stuff based on that and the things that you wanted to hyper focus on. So I've done that, but I've not done it for like life stuff. But I'm feeling really confident. It's definitely something I want to focus on, so we're going to be doing lots of that, compiling lists and putting them into my bullet journal. If you've seen January's reset video, you would have seen the setup that I had for the year. Really, really basic. So I'm going to be putting in extras to this. I'm going to hole punch it and tie them all in, of the vision board and also the list of things that I want to focus on, so like the goals for the year. And then what I'm thinking of doing in July's reset video, I want to look back on the first 6 months of the year, focus on what things do I want to continue, what new things do I want to add, and what things do I want to like take away and not focus on anymore, and then do a complete new vision board, but have that be part of the actual planner instead of being added in. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, so this is what we're doing. It's a bit more of kind of lifestyle setting up for the year ahead, but I think it's really important because I need to sort out my mind space and just find that calm, which also brings me to, I actually want to do a word for the year. Is it like an intention? Again, I don't know too much about this. I actually got this idea from watching Sylvie over at Tarot Magpie's recent video where she was setting up journals and things, like talking through her journals, and she was talking about her process for the year, and I just thought, you know what, that actually sounds perfect and exactly what I need this year and going into 2024 with. Thinking my word for the year is going to be some sort of synonym to do with calm, because that's what I want to achieve. I want to achieve inner calm, headspace that is calmer rather than this chaotic energy and emotional this that is just soup in my head at the minute. So that's what we're going to focus on. Hopefully none of this was too much information for you, because I probably won't go back into deeper talk like this unless you really want me to, but it's not something I do normally. But I just wanted to explain why we're going to be changing how this video is going to be. I don't know how much of this is going to make it past editing, to be quite honest. Thanks for listening anyway, and let's get on with it. So I need to do some food shopping, and then we're going to have lunch, read some more of O Caledonia, and then I think at work we're going to settle on the word for the year. So we're going to go through some synonyms, like I said, of calm, and then I'm probably going to peruse Pinterest in trying to find images that I want, so I can also have a Canva digital board of my vision board. And then I'm also going to do a physical scrapbook copy. Now I can't print off whatever I find in Pinterest, so it's going to be whatever I've got here, but I've got lots of like art magazines and things like this, so I'm going to probably do something like that. And then yeah, we'll talk more into, once I actually finalise that list of things that I want to bring back and things that I find help me relax and focus and stuff. And then of course talking about Oh Caledonia. Hopefully this all makes sense. Hopefully you like it, but it's what I need to do for this video. So that's what we're gonna do. It's an overcast, dreary day here in London, so I'm hoping the lighting is all okay. Set a bit of ambiance going with the candles and everything. That's something I really want to do more of, is using my candles. I did get in the habit of it, but I want to make sure I keep that habit because I love candles. I love setting the scene for when I'm reading, but also while I'm editing and things. It's the little things that make a nice little difference, which is a good segue, to be fair, into the goals and things that I've been thinking about over the past couple of days to fit in with my vision board for next year and the things that I want to focus on. So I've been brainstorming a few ideas. Feel like I'm ready to start putting together my vision board for my bullet journal. As I said, I'm going to have two different ones, one physical and one digital. The digital one I'll probably put together tomorrow because I've just been compiling images off of Pinterest, and so we'll put that all together through Canva and set it probably as like my laptop background, so I've got that focus every time I'm on my laptop. And then I just want to put together my list of goals and set that in my bullet journal as well. I feel really happy with where that's all at, and the past couple of days I've been able to get quite a bit of reading done, which is amazing. Yesterday I went to my physio appointment, which is going really well. Had an hour journey there and an hour journey back. I was able to get quite a lot of reading in, plus past couple of days at work we've been able to have slightly longer break. It's been amazing. It's been a really good reading time, I'm not gonna lie. So let's get straight into Oh Caledonia. I'm now up to chapter 8, page 125. I've only got about 80 pages left of this book, and it is gorgeous writing. This is the type of writing that I absolutely love. The descriptions, everything is just so beautiful and gorgeous. I love it. It is a book that takes the mundane and makes it fantastical just through the words that are being used. It is so good. But as I say, it is actually quite mundane. There's no real plot, there's no action to it. Instead, we're just following Janet, and we follow her from a baby growing up. Even though that's a lot of time to cover in this short amount, it doesn't feel rushed. It doesn't feel like it's been stop-start, which I don't like. When it comes to time jumps, I feel like some can do it really well, and this is a case of that, where it just flows seamlessly and I'm really enjoying it. Janet is someone that doesn't really fit in with her family. Even from a baby, she was never really considered or felt wanted in any way. You see how as she's growing up, she's always been a bit of a disappointment to her family. She's the black sheep. They make it quite clear that she fails in their expectations of her, and it's so sad. You can really feel for Janet for not feeling that love or connection to her family, and so as a result she finds solace in books, animals, and her imagination. It's a beautiful imagination. Like, the things that she can think of, the thing that she comes up with is just brilliant. Like, I really, really love her imagination, and the way it's been written is really good. As a result, she ends up kind of being even more outcast from her family because they're always telling her, you know, stop daydreaming, pay attention, or constantly reading things that they're just like, why are you reading this? Although they encourage some things because she's very smart, very intelligent, they also don't have time for her, and it's really sad. And she gets blamed for a lot of things, and you see her fears and her worries when certain things happen, to how her family's gonna react to it all, and it's really heartfelt. Eventually we see her go off to boarding school, and we get a lot of comments on society at the same time throughout this book. I feel like it's really subtly done, a lot of deeper context which you can take. It is to the point where I wish I annotated, and normally I'm okay to go back over what I've read and just annotate the bits that I remember. However, it would be every single page in this book, and there is so much that I could explore that I think this is a book I want to do a reread of and then explore those deeper topics, go in with looking for that. It will be really good. I know I'll really enjoy that. Just some of the base things. We have Janet dealing with growing up, dealing with puberty, dealing with how boys see you from being a child to then when they start seeing you as different because you're growing up and going through puberty, and the different things that she's had to deal with, just the difficulties that are aligned with that I feel like a lot of us relate to. And then we have her going off to school, and there's like little bits of commentary about how it was run by this very independent woman that really promoted girls learning, girls being independent, not having to get married and have children. Janet really fits into that category. Like, she has no interest in children, she has no interest in romance or things like that. She is just all about being intellectually challenged, which she really struggles with at this school because they're more about like, well, do your embroidery. You see how she struggles to fit in with the school system, but then also the other girls as a result of this, because she doesn't fit in with the social norms. So there's a lot of commentary around that. And then the setting, oh my gosh, it's absolutely gorgeous. This is set in Scotland, and you get a bit of change of seasons, but the main bulk of this is in winter. That's Janet's favourite time of year. The descriptions of the storms that happen, the cliffs, the beaches that they go to, like, it's just so perfect. I am really, really enjoying the setting of this book. Like, it is a book that when I was first reading it, I was like, oh, I like the writing. We'll see if it's something that's going to stay with me, but the more I read of this and the more I think about it and talk about it, the more I'm falling in love with this. This is so good, and I genuinely can't believe I haven't heard other people talking about this and that this was just a find in a bookshop just randomly. It was just so good. I'm loving this. So yeah, I've had 80 pages left, and this is definitely going to be one that I will probably reread maybe towards the end of 2024 so that I can annotate this book. I think it has the potential to be a new favourite, but I want to annotate it and reread it before I settle on that. Loving this book so much. It is everything I love in writing. Like, these are the sort of books that will be favourites. Like, I love fantasy, I love reading lighter books, but these sort of books are the books with the writing that just stays with me, that I may not read all the time because it is more dense, but I'm going to adore it. So yeah, this is so good. Speaking of lighter books, I have started a Kindle book because, as said, we've been able to have a bit longer on the breaks, and I didn't want to finish O Caledonia in one setting. I wanted to let my thoughts and feelings settle with that book. It's not a book that I want to rush. As much as it's only like 205 pages long, there are some books that, even though they're shorter, I want to take longer with, so I process it and take it in. So to mix it up, I picked up a Kindle book, which this book is a book that I have been anticipating. It came out on the 26th of December, and I was going to put off picking this one up. I'm not gonna lie, I was gonna put it off and wait, and then I saw other people picking it up, and Katie did a Instagram story of her reading it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to. I can't wait any longer, and that is Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. This is the sequel and the last book in the series, starting with Divine Rivals. It's just a duology, and it's really good. So Divine Rivals was a book I was contemplating putting on my top books for 2023, which you'll be seeing soon, and maybe even as an honourable mention, but the way I did that was if I had a book that kind of covered that sort of anyway, it didn't make it on there. It was really good though. We're following Iris and Roman. I'm not going to go into details of the second book, I'm just going to give you an overview of the first book so that way you can avoid any spoilers, because this is a really popular duology and I know some of you will probably be wanting to read the second book, so I'm going to keep it spoiler free. In the first book, we're following Iris and Roman. Now, Iris, her brother has gone off to war because this is set at, I always say the wrong one. I research it and then I forget. It's one of the world wars, either 1 or 2, and I can't remember exactly. I apologise. But her brother has gone off to fight in this war. She's been left behind with her mum, who unfortunately turns to drinking, and Iris then has to get a job just to be able to pay the bills. And she ends up as this newspaper correspondent trying to get a job as a columnist. But she's also in competition with Roman. There's only one job available, so they're both fighting it out. Roman is someone that is very affluent, doesn't have to worry about money, unlike Iris. However, he still has his own problems at home. He's got to deal with his father's expectations, and how his father would rather him just be a quiet puppet for him to use, which obviously Roman isn't happy with. So this is a rivals to lovers story. It's definitely not enemies to lovers, but rivals to lovers. And we see how the war is starting to impact things. They end up getting more involved in it than what they thought they would be. And it's a beautiful, beautiful story. This is more historical fantasy with a romance put in there, of course. But the fantasy elements are really, really light, to be fair. You've got the war that's going on is between two gods. They're pulling humans in to fight for them. It is messy and all over the place, but you don't really know much about the gods and goddesses because it's not something that's been taught. It's actually been something that's been prohibited quite a bit. And so you see Roman and Iris trying to piece things together about what is going on, why these people are fighting, etc. It's really interesting from that point. So you don't know lots about it, but that's because in the world you don't know lots about it. Apart from that, the only other really magical thing that goes on is between the typewriters that Roman and Iris have, which are really cool. I really enjoy that, and the way it works. It allows them to communicate to each other almost like sending emails, but without internet. It's really cool. I really like that, and I like seeing their development, their growth, the things that they go through. The descriptions of war is really well done. You really see the hardships, the difficulties, and the emotional side of it, as well as like the physical exhaustion and stuff. Obviously I say that without ever being in a war, but to me I feel like it's communicated across really well. I think Rebecca Ross has done that really well. The second book continues in that same vein with the descriptions of the war, and we're learning bits more about the gods and goddesses, but that is all I'm going to say about the second book because I really don't want to spoil anything for anyone, and the way the first book ends, you definitely are left wanting that book. It's been really good. I'm really enjoying it. I'm up to part 3 now, so I think I'm a good third of the way in to this book. It says I've got about like 5 hours reading time left on Kindle. I do want to get a physical copy of these books, but I really don't like the UK covers, so I'm gonna try and get the US covers eventually. But because I have read it and I have it on Kindle, it would just be to have a copy for my shelves, and at this point my shelves are overflowing, so I will wait. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's a really nice book to read. There is a lot going on, so like you feel emotionally invested because of the war and everything that's going on, but it also just feels like a lighter read, which is perfect for work. I have been talking for a little while now, so I'm actually going to stop. We're going to get some of this vision board done, and then I'll be heading to work, and I will catch up with you soon. Oh, I did all my food shopping, did my vegetable prep for the month. I love doing vegetable prep, although I've fallen out of actually like doing more healthier cooking, so I'm gonna try and get back into that. So that's another goal we need to add for 2024. But right, okay, I am just going to keep rambling. I'm gonna go, and I cannot wait to get back to reading more of O Caledonia. This is so good. I would highly recommend. Okay, I will stop talking now. joined today by Hermione, who you can see from the little eyes gleaming from this corner. We have my assistant. She's going to supervise and make sure I do everything correctly. And let's face it, editing me could definitely do with the help. Let's talk about the vision board setup actually. So I did do a digital vision board. I'll pop that up here. And it's very different to my physical one, but I knew that was going to happen. This is now my laptop background, so that every time I set up my laptop and go onto it, that's what I see, and I'm really pleased with that, so I can see this is what I'm trying to achieve. As you can see, I did go with the word for the year of calm. Obviously I said I was going to go with a synonym, and I was thinking about tranquil or tranquility, but then I thought, you know what, this whole point of this is to find my inner calm, and I thought I could use peace, but it didn't really quite feel right. And then I thought about quiet, so that I have like a quiet headspace, and again it just didn't feel right, so we're going with calm. That's what I first thought of, and it's just kind of what feels right, so that's what we're doing. It has all the things that I want to focus on, which we'll go through with some of my goals, which I'll talk about in a minute, so I'm really pleased with how that all worked out. My physical one is obviously slightly different. I can only work with what I have currently, but again, I'm really happy with this. I'm happy with kind of like the overall vibes, the point of this, so then every time I open up my bullet journal, this is an easy one to get to, especially because it's tied in, because it stands out. I don't know if that makes sense. Anyway, moving on to the goals. So I'm not as happy with this. So what happened was I did some like attempt at calligraphy for the goals bit here, and I practiced it so many times, and I was really pleased how it turned out. And then I was not pleased with this, and I don't like the way it looks. Thankfully though, I did do my yearly bullet journal order. So what I do is, because I get all my journals from Notebook Therapy, I always wait until they've got their like New Year sale or something, and then I'll purchase a couple knowing that I'm going to use them either towards the end of this year or the start of next year. And what I added in that time was actually some little letter stamp, because my handwriting's dreadful. And I thought that's going to be so much easier when I'm doing all my journal setups, just to be able to stamp it all. So what I'm going to do is, when that arrives, we're going to cover this, we'll have some different paper and stuff, and then I will use the letter stamp to actually stamp it all out. I mean, I'm not a fan with how this looks, and I didn't actually do the goals exactly how I wanted. Basically, I should have thought about it a bit more, but it's fine. That's the whole point of bullet journaling though, because I know I got a few messages on my January reset that were talking about how either they love how I do my setups because it's so simple and they could like, it makes them feel more confident, or how some people like the idea of it but they're too much of a perfectionist and worry they're going to get it wrong. I get it. I definitely used to be that way when I was doing bullet journaling before, like over a year ago, and then I stopped, and I stopped because I was getting a bit overwhelmed from feeling like I was always making mistakes and it never turned out how I want. You know, we're human, we're gonna make these mistakes, but the good thing about it is you can just cover it up. You can slap a sticker over the top of it if you don't like how it looks, or what I'm gonna do is a piece of paper and then use the letter stamp and it will look good. So you'll see that in a weekly vlog when those letter stamps arrive. Basically the goals here, I've done two categories. The first one is all about mind, because obviously that's what I'm trying to achieve in 2024, is just a better headspace, like calmer, less chaotic, less stressed out. A couple of the goals that I had on here was tarot. I really like doing tarot. I find it's really helpful for self-reflection and helps me think about things in a different way. It works for me. So I really want to focus and do that more. And I have to give props to Sylvie for this, because honestly this whole thing is basically because of Sylvie. She's an amazing person, and her channel, when I realised that she was doing tarot videos, that's what she'd changed to. It was great. It was exactly what I needed. It got me back into going, well actually, you know, I used to love tarot. I used to do it a lot. I just kind of stopped doing it, and I need to bring that back. And the last few weeks that I've been doing it, I've been finding it's really good on the days that I do actually do it. So I want to make it an actual proper habit of mine and really get into it. Also journaling, my vintage journal I haven't actually opened in a good few months now, but again that's something that I find good and helpful for me, is taking an hour of my time to just sit down and journal and do a couple of thoughts if I want to on the spread. It's such little things that I have just not been doing, and I need to get that habit back. And then moving on to, but I do have more, but we're just doing it quick. Moving on to body, we've got things like eating more healthily. So I used to be really good at cooking all my food for work, and now what I've been finding is, especially on my late shifts, I will cook and have enough for like 3 days, and then the rest of it I'm like, oh, let's just do something quick and easy. I think it's, you can cook healthy meals that are quick and easy, but my version of it, I can't bother to cook today, so I'm just going to pick something up when I'm at work, and obviously it's not as good. Put a stop to that. And also fitness, like I want to pick back up my yoga. Because of my shoulder injury, I stopped doing my yoga, I stopped doing all the different exercise things that I was doing, and I want to make sure that I get back to that, especially now that I'm getting the go ahead from physio, and just like little things like this. So that's what that all ended up being. I'm really pleased with how it's all turned out. Obviously there will be aesthetic changes, but I'm really pleased that I've done that. I feel really like ready for 2024, which is good considering it is the 1st of January today. But in terms of reading, I did finish O Caledonia, and I really liked this. This was really gothic leaning, but beautiful, and it was just, yeah, it was really good. Like I say, if you are someone that wants a plot, this isn't going to be for you. I really liked the way this was done. I just think the writing for me just made it work. The way that things were written, like the setting, because I was thinking about what would I tab in this book when I reread it. I can definitely say nature settings, absolutely gorgeous writing for it, love it. Obviously quotes I love, but that's a generic one that I always have. And then social commentary, and maybe breaking that down into a couple of parts, things that Janet has to deal with in this book. Like, it's a short book, but it packs so much into it. So yeah, I really want to reread this and annotate it. It's going to be a really good time. I really enjoyed it. I think it was just really well done. I will say though, Janet is probably a character that a lot of people would get annoyed with and not enjoy watching. Reading. She is very selfish, she is quite rude and blunt, but I also see how a lot of that is because of the way she was never fully accepted by her family. I can really understand it. I mean, Janet may not be everyone's favourite character, but I think for me she was relatable because I could understand her reasonings behind things and the reason why she became the way she did. So yeah, I just thought it was lovely. I really, really enjoyed this book. I did make a tiny bit of progress with Ruthless Vows, not much. I got up to chapter 28, page 197 of the ebook, so I made like about 30 or 40 pages progress. It's just been a bit busier the last few days, so I haven't been able to pick it up, but I am enjoying it. That one's going to go into next week and will probably be the first book I finish in January. But yeah, I won't say too much more on that one because obviously I don't want to do spoilers, but I am enjoying it. It's really nice. I like all the characters and the interaction. I feel like you can definitely see where it's going in this one, and I do prefer the first book more, but I still have quite a bit of the book left to go. I've got like halfway, almost halfway. We'll see how it goes. But that's everything for this weekly reading vlog. I hope you liked it. I know it was a change to what I said it was going to be with the whole idea of finishing loads of books. This was what I needed, and I'm really happy with how it all turned out. I feel really positive and really ready to move on to the new year. It worked. It was what I needed, so that's what we're going with, obviously, because that's what we did. You can tell I'm a little bit nervy about it because I keep repeating that, but right, okay, it is time for me to go. I hope you have enjoyed it. As I've said, let me know, what are some things that you like to do to get ready for the year ahead? Are you somebody that likes to do vision boards and things, or do you not really have anything? Like, I'd be really interested to know, actually. I think if this works for me, it's definitely something I'm going to carry on with going forward. Oh, and what was your last book of 2023? I was about to say 2024, but we're not there yet. What was your last book of 2023 or your first book of 2024? You'll have to let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you've made it this far, then let's put... what do we put? Oh, maybe a bear, because my bear jumper. This is my favourite jumper. I put off wearing it for like a week and now I'm like, nope, it's back on. Yeah, so a bear for the jumper, and I'm gonna go. So thank you again so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please do give it that thumbs up, subscribe and comment. Those 3 things really do help this channel grow. My social media links and anyone I've mentioned will be linked below, and I will of course catch you in the very next video.